Even to this day, whenever I speak at the Naval Intelligence or the NSA or any of those places, they consistently always ask, how did they do it? Well, we don't know. I always say it's Mayan technology. But it is not the speed of technology or the speed of power that the Zapatistas brought, but the speed of dreams. That is, that they spoke from the future. And so they enabled us to begin to think about how to put electronic civil disobedience from theory into practice. They came up here sometime around 1995, not as Zapatistas, but as everyday, what we would call wet minds instead of wet backs. And these wet minds spoke to us at the thing at Chelsea, and they liked the idea of electronic civil disobedience, and they said, we will tell you when you should launch it. So we sat around waiting and thinking. Meanwhile, the Anonymous Digital Coalition in Italy began to do their first net strikes, first against the French for nuclear testing in the Pacific, and then began to think about doing work with the Zapatistas as well in 1995. So it's the Anonymous Digital Coalition in Italy that really began some of the early practice. But what happened was that in 1997, December 22nd, the Actial massacre happened in Chiapas. 45 women and children were killed. We felt as the digital Zapatistas that this was the time. Indeed, the Zapatistas said, now it's time to launch electronic civil disobedience. So it is now 10 years since Brett Stahlbaum and Carmen Karasik of the Electronic Disturbance Theater, along with Stefan Ray and myself, created the automated tool, the Zapatista FloodNet. We just celebrated, as I said, this last April, 10 years. We launched it. About 10,000 people participated in the action. One of the things was that we weren't quite clear as to what the Anonymous Digital Coalition was originally doing with the net strike. And they were recommending that we use the reload refresh button over and over, say between 1 and 3 o'clock against the Mexican president website. And what Brett Stahlbaum and Carmen Karasik said is, why should we hurt our little fingers? Why don't we just create a simple script that will take into account how many people join, and it will hit the refresh reload button for us. So about 10,000 people joined. We did a virtual sit-in against the president's website. People around the planet participated, and the president's website responded. So many people are requesting this page that you'll have to come back later. The other thing that we did is a traditional tactical joke of the 404 file. That is, of course, you guys know that if you put some information in and it comes up, this information 404 is not found on this server. What we did is we took the Jodi.org joke, or Dadaist joke of that, and instead we started uploading into the Mexican web server, does justice exist on this server? And the server would respond, justice does not exist on this Mexican government web server. Does justice, democracy. So doing an immaterial gesture at the same time that we were doing a material gesture. We were on the front page of the New York Times the next day. They said hacktivists were here. We didn't like the word hacktivists because we didn't feel we were truly hackers. We said we were lower than script kiddies, really. So it was an honor to be called a hacktivist, but we didn't feel that was the right term. It was electronic civil disobedience, moving the paradigm of the network from communication and documentation to one of nonviolent direct action online. The largest event that we did was on September 9th, 1998 at Ars Electronica. It was called Swarm. We did an action against the Pentagon, who was selling military hardware to the Mexican army to use against the Zapatistas, Frankfurt Stock Exchange, who wanted to buy uranium rights in Chiapas, and the Mexican president, as always. It was there that we had an encounter with our first hackers, Hart, and they said EDT is pure evil, which is better than being impure evil, I think. And we said, well, we want to learn from hackers, but we're going to do this action nonetheless, and we shall be pure evil. The Pentagon attacked us. They did the first information war weapon at us. We don't even know what that was, probably some sort of JavaScript or something of the sort. But the next day, we were in the newspaper again, front page, New York Times. A few weeks later, and the U.S. Defense Department, New York Times, said if the Electronic Disturbance Theater wasn't illegal, it was certainly immoral. I like the quality of immorality in terms of activism. I always say we are not digitally correct hacktivists. We are digitally incorrect hacktivists. The battle, yes. Okay, so I'll move forward. One of the outcomes of this was that we worked with the legal departments and lawyers across the globe, and one of our major outcomes was that we did a deportation class action against Lufthansa with part of Chaos Computer Club, No Borders Community, and several street protest groups. It worked extremely well, but about a year later, the Secret Service of Germany came and took all the servers that were used and accused them of cyber terrorism. The lower court decided that it was cyber terrorism, but with our legal counsel and groups, we pushed through that it was electronic civil disobedience. It should be treated as civil disobedience. That is, you get put in jail only for 24 hours. It then went up to the higher regional court. As you can see, it was overruled in the initial verdict. The higher court found that the online demonstration did not constitute a show of force, but was intended to influence public opinion. And this is predominantly the way here in the US and around the world electronic civil disobedience is being used. I'll finish here. My current work is at Cal IT2. It's a research lab. We're doing border disturbance technology. We're focusing in on immigrant transporter tools. That is, we hacked into the GPS of cell phones in order to update those cell phones and give them to people crossing the border so they know exactly where they are. And then we're also investigating areas of nanotoxicology. Thank you very much.
Okay, I would like to encourage people. We've run out of time, and I hope that we've sort of shown you the seeds of some really amazing things that can be done with technology in terms of hacking, hacktivism, culture jamming, etc. We're going to move to the back area, and feel free to come and talk to us. We've got some other people that actually didn't have a chance to talk. So we'll be back over there. If you have any questions or comments, come find us and talk to us. And we've also got some other stuff, CDs and books and whatever. So thank you very much.
Thank you.